newspapers in the country. Most people knew her for the lighter side of journalism: fashion trends, celebrity gossip, lifestyle pieces, restaurant openings, the kind of articles people scrolled through while drinking coffee during their lunch break. But Jazz secretly preferred ghost stories. Whenever deadlines were slow, she disappeared into online forums filled with paranormal sightings, urban legends, and unsolved disappearances. She never truly believed any of them, but she loved the feeling they gave her. That nervous excitement right before you turn off the lights. So when her newspaper ran a public poll asking readers what they wanted her to investigate next, Jazz expected suggestions about nightlife or dating trends. Instead, thousands of people voted for one thing: the Legend of Purnima. Jazz was excited. People actually want me ghost hunting? Her editor shrugged. If it gets clicks, I don't care if you chase vampires. And honestly, Jazz didn't mind the idea. She asked her friend Vin to come along. Vin was a freelance photographer who occasionally worked with the paper. "You're serious?" Vin laughed. "You want me to drive into the middle of nowhere so you can interview a ghost?" "I need pictures," Jazz replied. "Besides, if a demon attacks us, I'm faster than you." "That's cold," he replied. "You'll survive." Jazz laughed. "Probably," he answered. So they agreed to leave the next evening. The story of Purnima had exploded online months earlier. Some people dismissed it as another creepy internet tale. Others swore it was based on a real incident from decades ago. According to the legend, Purnima had fallen in love with a man named Raj. They came from different religious backgrounds, and although Raj loved her deeply, his family refused to allow the relationship. They had already arranged a marriage for him with the daughter of a wealthy and respected family. A marriage that would improve their reputation. A marriage Raj couldn't refuse. Purnima supposedly attended the wedding in silence. Afterward, people in the village claimed she stopped speaking to almost everyone. She wandered the fields at night dressed in white, grieving a man who was still alive. Then one evening, she disappeared. Her body was later found floating in a pond. But the story didn't end there. Locals claimed something had followed her into the water. Something ancient. Something hungry. And after her death, people began reporting sightings of a spirit floating through the fields during full moons, long black hair dragging near her ankles, anklets chiming softly in the dark. The warning came first. The sound. If you heard the bells, you were supposed to run. Because the people who stayed to look never came back. "Okay," Finn said as they rode down the empty road on his motorcycle. "Hypothetically speaking, if we do see her, we won't. But if we do," Jazz smirked, "I'll interview her. You take pictures." "You really think this whole thing is fake?" Finn wondered. "I think people see what they want to see," Jazz replied. The farther they drove, the quieter the world became. Streetlights disappeared first, then houses. Eventually, the road narrowed into stretches of farmland, illuminated only by moonlight. Tall grass swayed in the wind like dark water. Vin slowed the bike. Why does every horror story happen in places like this? Atmosphere, Jazz said. But even she sounded less confident now. They arrived just after 10 p.m. The moon hung low and enormous above the fields, bathing everything in silver light. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. No spirits, no voices, no bells, just insects and distant wind. Jazz sighed. Looks like the internet lied again. Then Vin suddenly straightened. Someone's there. A figure was moving ahead of them. A young woman. She wore a pale sari that drifted softly around her legs as she walked. As she got closer, Jazz realized how beautiful she was. Her face was calm, almost gentle, though strangely emotionless. The woman stopped several feet away. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. Her voice was soft, almost concerned. Jazz exchanged a quick look with Vin. "We're journalists," Jazz explained. "We came to investigate the stories," the woman interrupted. "Yes," Jazz replied. The woman looked past them toward the dark fields. "It's late," she said. "You should go home." Something about the way she said it unsettled Jazz. Not threatening, not angry, almost pitying. "Aren't you out here alone?" Jazz asked. The woman nodded once. "I know these roads." Vin, meanwhile, could barely stop staring at her. "You mind if I take a photo?" he asked. The woman looked at him for a long moment before giving a small nod. The camera flashed. For just a split second, Jazz thought the woman's expression changed. Vin lowered the camera. "So, he stammered awkwardly. "Do you need a ride anywhere?" Jazz turned toward him immediately. "A ride?" she whispered. Vin ignored her, but the woman simply shook her head. "No," she said softly. Then she continued walking. Neither of them noticed how strange it was that they never heard footsteps. Only the faint sound of bells fading into the distance. The ride home felt strangely tense. "Were you seriously gonna leave me stranded out there?" Jazz laughed, punching Vin lightly on the shoulder. "You would have survived," he answered. "Come on, I've seen you. You can take care of yourself. You are unbelievably unreliable." Jazz laughed, but Vin barely heard her. A small part of him wondered what he would have done if the woman had accepted his offer. Something about her felt impossible to explain. When he dropped Jazz off at her flat, he found himself watching the empty street for several seconds after she disappeared inside, as if expecting someone to appear again. By the time Vin got home, it was well after midnight. He tossed his keys onto the counter and immediately grabbed his camera. Part of him felt stupid for caring so much about a stranger he had spoken to for less than 5 minutes. But another part of him couldn't stop thinking about her. The sadness in her expression, the way she had looked at him after he offered her a ride. Vin plugged the camera into his laptop and opened the files. His smile faded. Every photograph from the trip was corrupted. Seriously? He clicked through them again. Broken images, static, distorted fragments of moonlight and fields, except for one picture, a completely black frame. Vin frowned and leaned closer. At first, he thought the image was empty. Then slowly, his stomach tightened. There was something standing in the darkness. A silhouette, watching him. A cold feeling crept over him. Without thinking, Vin shut the laptop. Suddenly, the apartment felt too quiet. That same night, Vin dreamed of the woman. She stood ahead of him in the fields, her face hidden behind strands of hair. Every time he tried to catch up to her, she drifted farther away. "Wait!" he shouted. The anklets chimed softly. She led him toward a pond glowing under moonlight. Finally, she stopped moving. Vin reached out and grabbed her shoulder. Slowly, she turned around. Her face was no longer human. The skin stretched too tightly across something hollow beneath it. Her eyes were black. Her mouth hung open impossibly wide. Vin woke violently, drenched in sweat. His chest heaved. It was just a dream, he whispered to himself. He stumbled into the bathroom and splashed water onto his face. Then he looked into the mirror and saw her standing behind him. Vin spun around in terror, but there was nothing there. His foot slipped. The back of his head slammed hard against the bathtub. A sickening crack echoed through the flat. Then silence. The next morning, Jazz published her article. Despite local rumors and online hysteria, she confidently concluded that the Legend of Purnima was nothing more than internet fiction amplified by superstition. The article spread quickly. Most readers found it disappointing. Others were angry. At around 2 p.m., a commotion spread through the office. "He's not answering his phone. That's weird for him." "Who are you guys talking about?" Jazz asked. "Vin," one of her co-workers replied. Jazz frowned, so without wasting time, she and another co-worker named Ash drove to Vin's place. When they arrived, they noticed that the front door was slightly open. Ash stepped inside first. Only a few seconds passed before he stumbled backward again, pale and shaken. "Call an ambulance," he whispered. Jazz frowned. "What happened? Where's Vin?" Ash grabbed her arm. "Don't go in there." But Jazz pulled away from him and hurried through the flat. "Vin?" No answer. She reached the bathroom doorway and froze. Vin lay beside the bathtub, unnaturally twisted, his eyes still open. "Vin," she whispered. She dropped beside him and touched his face. He was cold. Tears blurred her vision instantly. Behind her, she could hear Ash softly speaking to someone on the phone. Jazz stood up slowly. Then she looked into the mirror, and her jaw dropped, because standing directly behind her was the woman in the sari.